The first thing I have to say about it, though, is dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things. That's a line that I picked up from our good friend Big Cat years ago, and it continues to bubble up because, and I made this point about the Jets on Monday with Chris on PFT Live, the weekly Sasquatch sighting of Chris Sims on PFT Live. It starts at the top, and it always trickles down. That's where the dysfunction comes from. The owners hide behind football operations, but the owners always have a spoon in the stew, and it's always the most influential spoon. It goes the deepest, and it agitates the most thoroughly. What they want, they get. And when they want it, they get it. And look, I know somebody had to take the fall because Woody Johnson's home away from home is England. He was the ambassador, if you didn't know or if you'd forgotten, under the first Trump administration. If there's a second one, he wants to go back. So for him to get embarrassed that way, his team losing in London, that adds to whatever it was that was already percolating inside him to make this change. And I'm going to say he made that change. This isn't Joe Douglas, the GM. This isn't Christopher Johnson, the co-owner who works alongside Woody. This isn't the team president. This isn't anybody but Woody. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is what the boss wanted. They're 2-3. And I remember after they beat the Patriots the Thursday night for week 3, they were ready to start cutting up the paper for the confetti for the parade. There was euphoria among Jets fans. We've never seen an offense like this before. And then 10 days later, 10-9 loss to the Broncos. Okay, it was raining. It was an ugly day. That's an outlier. Remember, that was the term that Aaron Rodgers used like 4 or 5 times, like he has a word of the day calendar somewhere, and the word of the day was outlier, so he's going to use it whenever and wherever he can. Then they go to London, and look, it's just one game. They were down 17-0 like that, and it wasn't because of the defense. They almost won the game because of the defense. The defense put the clamps on the Vikings, especially after Aaron Jones was injured, but there was a pick 6, 17 offensive points by Minnesota. The Jets clawed back into it, and the offense wasn't good. Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions. They were driving for the win. That's what makes this so stunning. Now, there's always something that goes on behind the scenes. But one of the things that goes on behind the scenes is dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things. It just makes no sense to do it now. How is it going to get better by doing it now? We've heard the argument in the past when a coach is fired. This was the Mike McCarthy explanation when the Packers fired him with 4 games left in 2018, I believe it was. Well, this gives him a chance to make his plans. This gives us a chance to make our plans. And it would be disrespectful for us to start screening and interviewing candidates who are available and ramping up to be ready to go when the season ends. That makes sense in December. There's no reason to do it in early October. You can turn your season around like that. You got games coming up against the Bills and the Steelers in prime time. You win those 2 games, you're 4-3. It just makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. And it makes me wonder what all really was going on behind the scenes. Remember, not that long ago, Aaron Rodgers was saying there's a driving force trying to drive a wedge between him and Robert Saleh. And last week it was Saleh who raised the concern about the cadence. And then Aaron Rodgers said there's nothing wrong with the cadence. And then Saleh comes back and basically says these are not the droids you're looking for. And nobody bought it. The only difference, between that line and the cadence thing is nobody was buying. Even when Saleh said, a little bit miffed last Wednesday, there is no cadence thing. That was created. It was created by him. So I don't know. Maybe this is a situation where coaching, he was doing fine, but politically it was kind of falling apart. Too many plates to spin. With the delicate genius de facto running the offense in Aaron Rodgers, with a dysfunctional ownership group. And I'm sorry, but I got to call it like it is. I remember years ago, somebody in the media said, well, you know what, if you really want to make it in this business, don't make fun of the owners. Okay, I'm not making fun of any owners, but I'm willing to say when an owner is doing dysfunctional things. And the common line through the Jets dating back to whenever Woody Johnson bought the team, is Woody Johnson. It just makes no sense to do it now. And this feels like, and look, one thing that would not be dysfunctional was having a good finger on the pulse of the fan base. And there are plenty of Jets fans that work in and around NBC. Josh Alper, who writes with us at PFT, he's a Jets fan. So there's a sense that Saleh has lost the fan base, or the team has lost the fan base. Well, you get him back by winning a game. You get him back by beating the Bills. You get him back by beating the Steelers. Fans are fickle. And one of the criticisms of the Jets fan base that Chris has always articulated, and he's been around New York most of his life, they're so fickle about the quarterbacks. Remember when Mike White was the future, the salvation for the franchise? He won a couple of games as a backup, and then they sour on him, and they move to someone else, and they sour on him, and the backup comes in, and this guy's great, and then they're done with him. The fan base needs to be led by an adult. The problem is the adult who owns the team is acting too much like a member of the fan base. Because what are you getting? What are you doing? Jeff Ulbrich is going to take over as the interim head coach. What is that going to change? Nathaniel Hackett's still there as the offensive coordinator. He's the guy they were looking in the offseason to hire someone to basically be his supervisor. Before I would ever fire a coach, I want to know, is it going to be better with the coach gone? I don't think it's going to be better. I think they were still alive. I think they still had a chance. Now I don't. Maybe they'll have a short-term bump. I don't know. You know, you see that with an interim coach late in the year because what happens is the players realize if there's a new coach after the season, we might not be here next year. Let's go bust our asses to help the interim coach become the new head coach so then we don't have to deal with the change of a new coaching staff. New coaching staff might put in a different defense. Now all of a sudden I don't have a spot, different offense, I don't fit. Want to bring in their own quarterback, I don't have a job. So collectively, a locker room can rally in a late season interim coach setting. You're doing it after 5 weeks. It just doesn't make any sense. And I know some people are going to disagree with me because sometimes an upset fan just wants a pound of flesh, and that's fine. But what are you getting now? How is it going to be any better? You feel better that somebody did something. You got 12 games to play. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.